Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Today is update day, baby. I'm excited. I feel like there's a new kind of energy around the game, and I'm really happy about that. Now, there's no doubt about it. This update wasn't exactly geared towards the top competitive players, which is really what I like focusing on for my channel, even though I'm not one of them. But I like that kind of gameplay and the competition that comes inside the game. However, I do think that overall, this is a great update. It really injected some enthusiasm from the casual players and the not so competitive players. And I think overall the quality of life changes along with the reworking of a few things is a benefit. I also am a fan of the balance changes, so I'm looking forward to the December or January update where maybe some of those competitive things will be added to the game. For now, I'm excited about the game. One thing I wasn't expecting, apropos to nothing, was the Hog Rider is allowed now in touchdown mode. Oh my god. He's like insanely powerful. It's crazy. I don't know if that was a mistake or intentional. I think it was intentional because I've seen other cards such as Cannon Cart and Cannon that originally were excluded as well. So wow, Hog Rider OP in touchdown mode. Anyway, today's video, I want to quickly go through what I think are 5 cards worth considering to upgrade or include in your decks. 5 cards at each rarity level. So we'll be talking about 20 cards in today's video. Basically, these are the top cards that I would upgrade, request, or focus on if they appear in my shop, having to do with the balance changes and also the shift of the meta. So let's get right to it here. Start with commons. I think far and above the rest is going to be Goblin Gang. Goblin Gang, already one of the most powerful commons in the game. Now the buff to the Spear Goblins also indirectly buffs the Goblin Gang. I think for 3 elixir, it's way better personally than regular goblins or Spear Goblins. I would go with Goblin Gang in almost any deck, whether it's bait, whether it's beatdown. I think that it has a good home, even a control deck. I think it's just such a powerful common card. I would be requesting the crap out of that card if I didn't have it maxed, or if I was, if I didn't have it up to the same level as my other cards. It would be the first common that I focus on upgrading. Moving on, Zap. I think that Zap, I made a video a couple weeks ago with Trainer Lewis and Oxalate talking about how arrows kind of replace Zap in a lot of ways. I think it's going to shift more towards Zap instead of Log and Arrows for that cheap go-to spell. Not to say that Log and Arrows won't be useful in some decks. I think that mainly because of Bats not getting touched. Bats are really strong. You'll need your Zap. Sparky getting buffed is going to be definitely a reason for including Zap in your deck. The Inferno Tower, Inferno Dragon with the Lightning nerf, I think that it makes Zap even more viable, especially in like beatdown decks. Any deck that you need to reset that Inferno Tower, Inferno Dragon, where you'd normally be carrying Lightning, you're definitely going to need that Zap in there. So moving on, third card, common, I would focus on upgrading Bats. I just talked about it. I think that Bats are really, really strong here. You can see we're focusing on mainly cheaper cards. That's because they have so much incredible value. I guess you can make the same case for the Knight, even though it's not technically on my list here. There's a lot of value for a little amount of elixir. Gives you a nice wiggle room, a nice, if you need it in a pinch, Bats incredible DPS, especially with Graveyard maybe coming onto the scene. Mortar. I think that Mortar is indirectly going to see, after the buff last update, last balance change, I think that Mortar now is going to receive kind of a small indirect buff. Now this is maybe a long shot on my part, but I think that with the Tesla, which is going to be the 5th card, the Tesla and Mortar, let's talk about them together. I think that way back in the day when Steroidy 69 beat me in the Finland tournament, that was like a year and a half ago now, I think that we saw the Mortar was almost always paired with the hidden Tesla. I think we might be seeing that again. That's kind of frustrating to me because it seems like on ladder, all I ever see in my range are Mortar decks, more so than Elite Barbarians or Royal Giant. I'm a little bit higher. Mortar is everywhere. So I think that Mortar, hidden Tesla is going to be a thing again. Hidden Tesla was always meant to be a defense that you place beforehand, hence the hidden part of it. It was obviously your opponent knows that you're dropping it, but it has a long life to it, the Hidden Tesla, and it was meant to be something that kind of sets the table as different than every other defense in the game. I think that people are going to start dropping that Hidden Tesla ahead of time, closer to the river, and then drop the mortar afterwards after they kind of set the table after that, just like they used to do a long time ago with the buff to the Hidden Tesla. Tesla can now one-shot goblins and minions with a 41% damage increase. A little bit slower on the fire rate, but the fact that it changes those interactions and it can now one-shot the goblins and the minions, I think it makes it really powerful. Hidden Tesla I see in a lot of mortar decks. Siege, I think that actually will get a little bit of a boost. So if you're a Siege player, or if you flirted with picking up Siege in the past, I would consider upgrading your mortar in your Hidden Tesla. Let's move on to the rares. I think that one rare card, again, that didn't receive a buff or a nerf in this last balance changes is the Ice Golem. I think for 2 elixir, it has incredible value, whether it be as a tank for your graveyard, or whether it be a distraction, a kiting unit for the Mega Knight, I think, or combined with Zap or Ice Spirit to take out minions. The Ice Golem, for such a little cost, 2 elixir, has an immense amount of value. I would focus on upgrading Ice Golem and include it in a lot of different decks, even as a secondary tank in a lot of decks, as a distraction for mortar, which we just talked about. It just serves a lot of value, a lot of purpose, a lot of variety and versatility in that card that I think will benefit all of you. Inferno Tower, interesting, right? The nerf to lightning and maybe a little bit of an uptick, or I should say not an uptick at all, but the nerf to lightning and the fact that P.E.K.K.A. and Mega Knight weren't touched. I think that both the Inferno Tower and later on the Inferno Dragon will both be even more viable, right? You can place the Inferno Tower outside of lightning range now. I think it's a big boom to the value of the Inferno Tower. Number 3, Fireball. With the nerf to lightning, possibly more Three Musketeers. I think, in fact, there has to be a little bit more Three Musketeers now that you can split them in front of the King Tower, and it causes almost a reaction. You have to almost have a predictive play to hit them all with the lightning now. So I think that Fireball now, both in Hog decks and in anti Three Musketeer decks, is going to be more viable. It's important to upgrade your Fireball in ladder, obviously, so you can have it so possibly if it's ahead of level, it can one-shot Musketeers. At least if it's at level, it will give you a fighting shot against people of your own card levels. So Fireball I really like. Three Musketeers, we talked about it, the nerf to lightning. I think they're just going to get a little bit stronger in the game, which is crazy to say because they're already one of the stronger win conditions in the rare and common class, meaning that they're in a small group of cards to be used as a win condition that free-to-play players can actually play. I think there's a big problem, kind of, personally, with the legendary and epic cards on ladder, but that's another discussion for another day. So Three Musketeers. What about Dark Goblin? I think the Dark Goblin, if Graveyard does make a big comeback, Dark Goblin, especially with the new Graveyard mechanic, where it spawns along the perimeter now and not anywhere in the center of the kind of the radius of the spell, Dark Goblin is one of the few cards, along with, Princess, but really one of the best cards in countering Graveyard. It can also be used, obviously, in spell bait decks. I think Dark Goblin might see an uptick in value. It really decreased in the subsequent meta. Dark Goblin can also stay at a safe distance and still hit the perimeter of that graveyard, is what I was trying to say there. Now, Giant. With the anticipated rise of Graveyard in the game, I think that Giant is really... Giant's always had a ton of value. Giant has a ton of HP for a relatively low investment of 5 elixir. Matter of fact, I'm playing the Giant right now in the background. This is just a deck I've been testing. It's not new, per se, but it's kind of brought back from the dead. Forgive the pun, considering Graveyard is the win condition. But I think that Giant now... such a bargain. Ask Wings, the pro player Wings. He's always been a huge Giant fan, harkening back to the Jason days, right? Second time I mentioned the Helsinki tournament in today's video. Crazy. But I think that Giant is just going to be a really strong win condition, still remain one of the cards that can still punish at the bridge if necessary, with a graveyard or with just simple minions if the opponent pumps, per se. So I think that Giant is going to be a strong upgrade preference at rare. Going on to epics, Dark Prince. I think that Dark Prince is an interesting card. We saw it have a buff in the last balance change, and now it's going to be fixed. Essentially, it's just a buff again, to where the Dark Prince can be used in beatdown decks to really mitigate the power of the Inferno Tower, which we talked about maybe on the rise. The Dark Prince now hits shield will reset the Inferno Tower. So when the Inferno Tower locks onto the Dark Prince, it has to kill its shield, and then it resets, and then it has to kill the Dark Prince. I think that Dark Prince might be good paired with a Golem, paired with a P.E.K.K.A, or paired with a Mega Knight to mitigate the power, again, of the Inferno Towers. Also, while we're talking about that mechanic being changed, guards have the same change, guys. Both on the Inferno Tower and the Inferno Dragon, they're going to have to eat through the shield, stop, recharge, and then eat through the HP of the skeletons. So it's actually a real strong buff to those cards in terms of, again, the mitigation of the power-up effect of the Inferno Dragon, the Inferno Tower. I think that guards are going to be a good card to kind of focus on that you may have forgotten about. Cannon Cart actually has the same thing. Again, guys, Cannon Cart got a 5% shield buff, a 5% overall buff, and it also has that new change in mechanic where, again, we just discussed it 3 times. It will cause the Inferno Dragon Tower to recharge after it's killed the shield. So I think that Cannon Cart, especially paired with the recently buffed Graveyard, is also going to be a great addition, a great choice to finally upgrade. I think that Cannon Cart has been very underwhelming in my opinion up until now. I actually uploaded a Cannon Cart deck yesterday. Check that out if you want to look for a good Graveyard and Cannon Cart deck from Diego B. Really interesting deck there. I like it a lot. So Balloon was not touched, but I think the Balloon is still powerful in the new meta. I didn't see any changes that I felt really hurt the Balloon, so I think the Balloon is still going to be difficult to contend with, and I think it should be a focus for everybody to upgrade. You can kind of make the same case about Goblin Barrel. They haven't really changed that much, but they're definitely going to be viable in the new meta. And then the last card is Executioner. I think the Executioner, with Graveyard back, with Goblin Gang buffed, with the E-Wiz nerf, I think that it's going to kind of make room via the power creep argument on E-Wiz for the Executioner again in the meta. Executioner again took a big dip. I think Tornado's going to be as good as ever. Pairing the Executioner with Tornado seems like a great option in any deck right now. Even with the nerf of Lightning, helps out even more the Executioner. So I think the Executioner should be a focus or something that you should consider adding to your decks now. Now let's move on to the legendaries, guys. We have Ice Wizard. Well, with the E-Wiz nerf, I think that the best defensive legendary award might go to the Ice Wiz now for one less. The E-Wiz has seen a 10% in the last 2 balance changes combined, a 10% HP nerf, or was it damage? Oh crap. I don't know. I don't edit, so whatever. But it's seen a 10% nerf, okay? And Ice Wiz saw that buff, so I think that Ice Wiz is finally going to be contend on equal, if not maybe a step above, playing field of the E-Wiz. So Ice Wiz, I would definitely focus on. Love Ice Wiz. Give him a video, Supercell. Give him a welcome to the arena video, please. Please. I'm begging. Bandit didn't get nerfed. Still one of the highest win rates of all legendary cards. Bandit, obvious choice to upgrade. Mega Knight, best expensive card in the game, bar none. Maybe less P.E.K.K.A now with Graveyard on the rise. P.E.K.K.A being the hard counter that kind of kept Mega Knight in check. P.E.K.K.A useless against Graveyard. Mega Knight really good against Graveyard. So Mega Knight, I think, could be even better. I'm surprised he didn't get nerfed. His win rates are really high. He fits in well with surprisingly a bunch of different decks. I would focus on Mega Knight, possibly as the best legendary in the game right now. Graveyard, of course. It's still Graveyard. I mean, it saw the buff. If you guys haven't played it yet, and you can see it on the screen right now, with that new smaller radius, boy, is it strong, guys. One more skeleton to boot. to Doot. Isn't his name Doot? I don't know. Whatever. One more skeleton added to the graveyard in the smaller radius makes it much more powerful. The skeletons now spawn along the perimeter. Man, it's like putting a target down on the arena. Bam! And then all those skeletons are just like, it's just way more powerful. And you have a lesser chance at activating the King Tower. Man, it's just, Graveyard it's going to see a big increase. There's no doubt in my mind. Sparky and Inferno Dragon, you know, less E-Wiz to reset, obviously, less lightning around to reset. So I think that Sparky with the buff added is going to be a great card to finally focus on. Sparky viable in a variety of different decks, including beatdown and maybe even just kind of hybrid type decks. I shared 5 Sparky decks 2 videos ago. I'll link that in the description, along with the Graveyard deck that I shared yesterday, if you guys are curious about any of those different decks. So guys, that's the list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of the new meta so far? Granted, very early on. Guys, huge shout out to Bren Chong, my YouTube partner. Huge shout out to all of you guys for watching all the way till the end. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. And as always, take care, guys.